Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Pisces for June 2016. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and check out my blog. And while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community. So what's going on in June? We've got the convergence of heavy hitters, these outer planets that when they come together, they make life-changing experiences. We've got two of those to discuss. We've got a new moon in Gemini. We'll talk about where that hits for you. We've got a full moon in Sag on June 20th. The new moon's on June 4th. The full moon's on June 20th. We'll talk about where that's going to hit for you and what fields of experience are accentuated for Pisces this month. So let's just start with something specific to Pisces. Early degree placements. So again, the early degree placements are basically the February born Pisces. So from the beginning of the sign till like the 1st of March, those are the early degree placements. The middle degree placements are like the 2nd through around the 11th. And then the late degree placements are from the 12th till the end of the sign. You can find out the exact designations if you look for the year that you were born, what day the sun went into Pisces. It's not the same every year. That's why I can't give an exact designation, because it's broken down into sets of 3, 10 degrees, 10 degrees, and 10 degrees. But we don't know for the year you were born what day that designation of 10 degrees starts unless you look it up. But what I've given you are the roundabout times that you can go by. Why is it important to know the difference between early, middle, and late degree placements? Because the chart of an early degree placement person has almost always a very different looking chart than the late degree placement. So I want to differentiate for you because I want to give you the most accurate information possible. So early degree placements, February born Pisces, or from 0 to 9 degrees if you're looking for your rising sign, will have a lot of energy brewing in the 4th house. And so the sun will be there, Venus will be there. For some of you, the new moon on June 4th, the new moon at 14 degrees of Gemini, will also be in the 4th house. And for the rest of you, this is coming soon. So pay attention, because if it's not quite active for you at the beginning of the month, it's going to be coming soon. The 4th house has to do with home and family. Those are the big umbrella designations of what the 4th house includes. But underneath that heading, there's a lot of more subtle manifestations. So it can involve your actual home where you live. It can involve real estate. It can involve work that takes place from the home or about other people's homes, like design or construction or feng shui or psychology. Someone who does psychology or anything regarding childhood, based in childhood, that it also has a connection with the 4th house, because the 4th house rules the childhood, your childhood. So your own inner work having to do with childhood or working with other people, it has to do with your ancestry or your roots. So where you grew up or where your lineage is from, that energy is also the 4th house. So any of these manifestations could be present with this brewing energy in the 4th house. And I would expect that most of the things being focused on would be positive, but because the sun is like a spotlight, it shows where everything is and what everything is like the true nature of things, So if you come into a room that has low light and you put this big spotlight on, then you're like, oh wow, I didn't realize that there were so many fingerprints around the door, or there's cracks in the ceiling, or whatever, But you also might notice in the light how nicely some of the colors show up with the carpet and blah, 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 whatever, In bright light, which the sun represents when it goes into this house in the field of experience, you can see everything more. Sometimes the things that are there are not comfortable to look at, so it's like showing you what can be improved. And sometimes when something is being shown how it can be improved, it can be something you have to focus on. But I see it as a positive transit because it's showing you how to get more of what you want from that field of experience. So the middle degree placements will start to have some 4th house energy in June, especially the early part of the middle degree placements. But mostly the middle and late degree placements will have energy in the 3rd house. That new moon for most people will be in the 3rd house. But even the early degree placements are going to have energy in the third house because Mercury will be there for you. So whenever there's a new moon or the sun or Venus, it's bringing focus to that field of experience. So the third house has to do with communication and transportation and relatives that are not your kids or parents. So like brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, things like that. And it has to do with your communication and devices that you use to communicate and your transportation and vehicles or other modes of transportation. So that is being highlighted. Now, if you need to get a new device or a new car, June is still not the best time to do that. It is a little bit better than May because at least here, June is, Mercury's not retrograde anymore, and as of June 8th, even the shadow of Mercury retrograde will be passed. But Mars rules metal, and metal is in all cars and communication devices. So it has some rulership there. So if you can wait to purchase your new items until July, you'll still be in the shadow for Mars, but it's going to be lighter. So if you can do that, cool. If you can't, just make sure you get your warranties, get the, pay for the extra warranty, keep track of your paperwork in case you have to bring things back, shop around and make sure you're getting the best deal, have other eyes look at any contracts that you say yes to or something like that if you have to do that. You can also check out my Mars retrograde video and blog to see more about the what still to not do and all of that in June. Mars does go direct on June 29th, but all of the month is covered in Mars retrograde. Okay, so you've got fourth house energy, you've got third house energy. Now the full moon is on June 20th. And for all Pisces placements, you're going to have that happen in your 10th house. So full moons can bring recognition when they happen in the 10th house, like recognition for your work. It can bring the ending of something related to career or work or life purpose or the culmination of something. Sometimes we associate full moons with drama or difficulties, and many people will have something very emotional happen at a full moon. But it's not always something that's stressful. It could be something like someone graduates from college or high school or a school program, and it's emotional because they're finishing something, they've been on a journey, it's coming to fruition, it's coming to completion, but it's a happy, sort of happy tears, So something involving work or career or life purpose, because that's the house it's in for you, and something involving education or teaching or learning or different countries or cultures, because that's the sign it's in. I don't think I went into for the new moon in Gemini that has to do with the third house too. So the energy of the new moon is everything that I said about the third house. So transportation, communication, your relatives, etc. So new energy opening there, and then culminations of things ending or coming to fruition in the 10th house of work or the teaching or learning, etc. So those are the basic things specific for Pisces that are active in the month of June. Then we have a whole slew of, well, maybe not a slew, it's a slew of energy, we'll call it, because there's three main things happening that everyone will be affected by in the form of these convergences with outer planets and with Mars going direct. And so we'll talk about those now. I call the theme of the month of June, the heavy hitters converge, because outer planets, when they're locked together in a meaningful geometric combination, are like the heavy hitters. Whenever we have an aspect of an outer planet, meaning the ones that take longer to go around, like Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, or if you're looking at asteroids, Chiron, etc., these planets take a long time to get around. So when they make an aspect, especially to another outer planet that takes a long time to move around their orbits, their influences last for a longer period of time than the ones with the personal planets, unless of course there's a personal planet being retrograde, that's different. But as far as an actual aspect occurring within personal planets, you might feel those effects for a couple of days. But the story of outer planets getting together, that tells a story over a long period of time. It makes me think of when I was growing up in New York City. When I was a little kid, I was a baseball fanatic. was quite a tomboy, and me and my little friends would obsess over baseball and we'd watch it with my dad, and we would just get so excited when the guys who would be the ones that would hit the ball out of the park regularly would come up to bat. They called them the heavy hitters. And you didn't know if this was going to be a time they were going to hit a home run, but the odds were more likely that they were going to hit a home run than anybody else. Everyone was just, waiting with excited anticipation, especially if there are men on base, And that's the energy of June as it relates to the heavy hitters in the cosmos, because we have two convergences of heavy hitters. The first one is between Saturn in Sagittarius and Neptune in Pisces. Now, this aspect is a square. A square is known to be a challenging aspect. I don't want you to fear squares, however, because sometimes it's a square that we need, or a point of conflict that we need to crack open something up to another level, It's like it's a point of conflict that from it, you can completely improve your life and your life experience. All transits, especially the challenging ones, show weak spots. So this transit will be no exception. Saturn in Sagittarius and Neptune in Pisces in a square, this happened in the beginning part of this cycle. It was the last days of November 2015 through like December 4th of 2015. So the end of November, beginning of December of 2015 is when this happened first. It happens now for the second time, June 5th through June 18th, with the strongest point being on June 18th, but very strong for that whole time. And you'll feel it before those dates and after. It's a long-term story. And it's a theme that's following from the end of last year into this year, and it reaches this culmination like the end of August 30th through around September 21st of 2016. So over the course of the year, from the end of 2015 through almost the end of 2016, there's been this point of conflict. And so themes that came up at that point very likely will either come up again if they hadn't been resolved, or related themes will come up, or maybe different manifestations. But many, many people are going to have this issue come up in the form of security. And many people will have it in the form of internet security. When the energy of Neptune in Pisces is very much behind the scenes. It's private stuff. So things that you want to be private, with Saturn coming and making this square to Neptune, they might not be private anymore. So I always post these horoscopes at least a month and sometimes more early, so that you can have a heads up for what's coming, so that you can take action. So one of the places that I recommend that you take action here is around this square, and it's around security. So I think it's a wonderful idea for you to change your passwords, to add whatever steps you can to beef up the security, to have a professional do a security check even, or research ways that, if you don't have the money to do that, research ways to beef up your internet security. Be careful of the things you post on Facebook and social media. Just have a new level of awareness of apps and how people are gathering information about you and your what you're doing on the internet, things like that. This could also be home security or work security, or anything having to do with things that you want to be private that might not be completely secured. So you want to try to go through between the time you listen to this and then, and strengthen as many of these weak links as possible. That's a really good use of the energy. There are also likely to be a lot of conflicts or things that come up regarding fear and faith. And so here are some questions to ask that can lead you down a good path with using this energy in the best way. One is and this is kind of along the lines of what I was just talking about with security, but where are you putting your trust? And is that well placed? And that can be having nothing to do with internet security. It could be in relationships. It could be with, who knows, whatever. Ask the question, where are you placing your trust? And maybe it's not the best place to place it. Where could you place more trust and you're not? There's also a very major spiritual component to this, because trusting in the benevolent source and clearing up any issues you have with your connection to the divine could be what's coming up here for many people. So maybe you're placing your trust in things that are changeable and movable in the third dimensional reality, and we all know that those things are change and or always changing, but the connection with the divine is something that isn't changing. So spiritual revolution could occur from this transit for many. Where are your boundaries? Are they secure? Should they be more secure in certain places? And should they be less secure in certain places? Sometimes we're putting up walls in places where we really want something to come in, So this square can bring up all of those things. If you want more love to come into your life, if you want more money to come into your life, figuring out where you're putting up blocks to receiving those things is going to be relevant for many people. Of course, I always love suggesting inner work, because sometimes this boundary setting thing is not in our conscious control. It's very much in our unconscious program. And the only way that you can really get at those unconscious programs is by working on the unconscious level. One of the books that I talk about all the time that works very well for helping you to set healthy boundaries in places where you need them and take some extra walls away in places where you're trying to bring more in is a book called The Presence Process by Michael Brown. It's masterful for that. So you can look to see where your boundaries need to be bolstered and where you need to be a little bit more lax in certain places, things like that. It's like the showdown between reality and illusion, and form and formlessness. So all the many ways that those conflicts can come up, this story has been brought up at the end of last year for special focus, and the story is getting stronger now, and it will reach its culmination at the end of August into September. So the next major convergence of heavy hitters we have, and this one I'm all smiles about, even though I'm going to make lemonade out of the challenging one and tell you how you can make the most of it, when there's a really great aspect like a trine, like this second convergence, which is between Jupiter in Virgo and Pluto in Capricorn, I'm going to be really excited about that. So Jupiter in Virgo is very much about everything Virgo, expanding everything Virgo. And Virgo has to do with your health, your diet, your regimen, yoga, meditation, medical diagnostics. Many people have had major enigmatic health stories, and they're trying to, like a super detective, get to the bottom of what is happening with their health. And Pluto is the best ally in this, because Pluto goes deep into research. Pluto rules research. And Pluto in Capricorn is very practical. So having this trine, which is strongest between June 23rd and June 30th. And again, there's a story with this. It started in mid-October 2015. It happened the second time mid-March 2016. And now it reaches its culmination with this aspect at the end of June. So many people who have been on a wild health journey, you might have some massively good news, or at least massively enlightening news that can then put you in the direction for better health. Many people are going to see movement forward in the arena of health or diet or anything like that. If you are a person who has MS, autoimmune, any other kind of autoimmune things, inflammatory-based problems, colitis, anything involving inflammation, problems with your skin, anything that just seems like whatever you're doing to it, you're not hitting it at all. There's a couple of resources I'm going to recommend for your journey. One is a book called Medical Medium. Medical Medium is a Hay House book, and I'll put it in the link below this video. And it is very interesting. It's very different, and maybe some of you won't resonate with it, but many more people are going to have a lot of answers come here. But he's basically talking about how many of the things that are plagues for our time, from the health perspective, are actually based in virus. And I know that research that I've seen about cancer, they're finding more and more cancers are linked to viruses. So this isn't really very surprising, or metaphysical for that matter, even though the person who brings it is a a medium, between worlds. The information is very much based in science from what I've been researching myself. So there could be a viral component to the things that you think are not virally based, and by treating it, you could all of a sudden heal from something that you're not supposed to heal from. Now, of course, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm offering a resource that could change your life. So check out Medical Medium, Hay House. And another idea is to get some genetic testing. If you've had a lot of problems, you could narrow down your specific issues by having some genetic testing. A basic genetic test that will give you a lot of information and is not as expensive as some of the other ones is called 23andMe. It's the number 23andMe. And this will let you know if you have certain parts of your liver function that don't work, which would create all these other problems. If you have certain liver pathway problems, etc., or other things that could be relevant to your health. There's someone else that I'm going to recommend his name, and I'll put all of these links underneath this video. And is a man, his name is Gino, and he is a friend of mine who is very gifted with understanding how science and physiology work, and he has helped many people heal from things that were considered terminal. So if you look up genospassion.com or I think it's .com, or I'll put the link below here. Maybe Gino can assist you with your particular situation. And he likes to work along with your doctor to see your blood tests and things like that. So many people are going to have good news or breakthroughs along those fronts, and maybe some of these resources will be part of that. What's very exciting about this transit is that it's reaching its culmination at this point. The previous transit we talked about, we're kind of still in the middle of that story, but this one is reaching this conclusion, and it's such a wonderful aspect. So other things that could come up here are things involving pets or animals, since Virgo rules those areas. Also involving your quality of work experience or daily experience. Virgo rules what you do every day, what your experience is like every day. So when you have Jupiter in Virgo, it's working on trying to make improvements in your day-to-day schedule. So if you look at your life and you say, oh God, I need to work less, Jupiter in Virgo can help you with that. If you're like, oh gosh, I don't have a job, I need to work more, Jupiter can help you with that. Whatever your subjective experience of improvement of your daily schedule is, Jupiter is working really hard to help you with that. And as of the time it went direct in May, those things started lighting up again. And now when it reaches this culmination of this activation with Pluto in Capricorn at the end of June, you could see some major improvements in your work-life balance, whatever you've got going on in your daily schedule. So that's really exciting. Also, many people will experience this trine with Jupiter and Pluto as bringing them advancements on the fronts of work, career, and life purpose. Because Pluto being in Capricorn rules work, career, and life purpose. So Jupiter being in a great angle there can help to accentuate, unblock, free, synergize, bring great juju to your work and career and life purpose areas of life. So that's another way that you might see this trine story reach a culmination at the end of June. Third piece that is very relevant is that on June 29th, Mars is going direct. If you've been listening to my reports for a while, I've been talking about Mars in its pre-shadow retrograde, in its retrograde, and now on June 29th, Mars finally goes direct. It has a pretty long shadow period on the back end. It will be in the post-shadow period until August 21st. But with every day that marches on past June 29th, you're getting more and more clear of it. So if you've got to launch something, do something new, if you've been waiting, July is your month to do that, and the first little bit of August, because then we're going to get into Mercury shadow again, and it's not going to be the time to launch things. There will be some even better stars for launching in the last 3 weeks of October and all of November and the first couple of days of December. that period of time at the end of the year is actually the most open than any we've had this entire year of 2016, because the other period we had, like February, March, and then this one in July into the beginning of August, those all have some influence of shadow of retrogrades of personal planets, even though there's some workable ground. So if you're not quite ready to launch, or something, you really want to have all the personal planets clear, maybe you'll want to lean towards that second window, but you'll just have to feel it out, because I don't know what your personal chart looks like, and sometimes personal chart aspects can supersede what the general stars are. So if you want some help with that, anything as far as perfect astrological timing or navigating through making the most of the transits, you can go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. You can check out my growing list of blogs there to assist you. You can check out my personal coaching. You can look for my Unleash Your Money Magnet program to help you unleash your money magnet. If you go to anniehelpsyou.com and then click on programs, you'll see Unleash Your Money Magnet. You'll see my Creating Successful Online Business course that will be enrolling in July. You'll see my Astrology Apprenticeship program, which will be enrolling in July. And you'll see my Shine program, which is a 28-day virtual coaching program, which helps you to make the most of the starry potentials by clearing out your inner blocks. And while you're there, definitely sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community and get all kinds of cool opportunities and information that come along with being in that group. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.